Good morning and welcome to ASL's HR in 10.
At 10.
I'm Jason Perry,
And I'm Kimberly Bradshaw.
and every week we get together to talk about the wonderful goings on in employment law and human resources.
Never a dull moment yet
In,
again.
indeed, I ought to add, by the way, about 2 minutes before this live broadcast started, Kimberly lost her internet connection. So we're hoping it will hold up for the next 5 minutes and we'll manage to keep this broadcast going. So on that caveat, where shall we start, Kimberly?
I think the new holiday pay ruling from the Supreme Court, I think so many businesses don't realise that this does impact them and they need to change what they're doing.
Yep.
And so many of them seem to be blissfully unaware.
Indeed. The report I've seen says most employers simply don't know. I think it's 88% of employers don't fully understand the ruling. Now,
Yeah.
I suppose the thing I want to add to that, I'm not at all surprised. The ruling is so far from clear, and what we need is some definitive clarity on it, isn't it? And I think it's such a complex ruling, that's a hard thing to deliver.
It is, yes. I think there's some good guidance on ACAS, but that applies more to irregular workers. So those that don't do regular hours. But it is very confusing. I mean, our clients are okay
Yeah.
because on the whole, apart from one or two that haven't got around to it yet, but most of them have already updated their
Yes.
contracts or given a contract variation letter. So we know that our clients are okay, but there's so many out there that don't. And there was a survey, wasn't there? Was it WorkNest? And only 11% of employers had changed their
Yes.
procedures based
Yes.
on the ruling.
Yeah.
Now, that's obviously going to be all our clients.
Well, the reality is this doesn't affect all
Excuse me.
employers, does it?
Sorry, say that again.
This doesn't affect all employers.
No, it doesn't.
So this affects employers who have, let's say, part-year contracts or seasonal contracts. Somebody who operates a normal, let's say, 5-day-a-week, 52-week-a-year business and employs people throughout that period is not, and whether full-time or part-time, is not impacted by this ruling, are they?
No.
And to me, that's one of the big things, because I've heard quite a lot of panic. And in the early days, it was quite unclear. I heard employment law lawyers suggesting, oh, this will affect all temporary workers, this will affect all 0 hours contracts. And my understanding and the legal advice I've had on it is this impacts anyone who employs people, let's say in industries like education, where you have people employed for part of a year. But that also includes much of the tourism industry, doesn't it?
It does, yes. And I'm also thinking through other clients that we have who have term time only contracts because that's what the employee has negotiated.
It suits their ability to attract and retain staff. If you want working age,
Employee engagement
yeah,
sucking.
absolutely. So if you move in that direction, you've got to look at this, and you've got to make sure your holiday ruling is right. The bit that I'm unsure about, and I'm going to be very controversial here, I think if we were to have stable government, which maybe a bit of a challenge too far, but this ruling might get clarity in the House of Commons, because it's actually a very difficult ruling, as it disadvantages, one might say, full-time permanent staff, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because you end up with people working a lot less, getting more holiday potentially.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking of what you said about the government. Really? This is all everything's flip-flopping in the government.
We
This is all new. And we haven't got enough clarity. It's COVID all over
Yes.
again.
We try very hard when we do this not to be political. So I'm going to try and
No, I'm not being political. I'm just reporting what's on the news.
but
Excuse
but
me.
I do think in normal times we'd expect to see a bill going through the House that would offer to resolve this unusual court ruling, because it does, as we say, disadvantage in an unexpected way people who are full time,
Yeah.
normal run of the mill workers. It's those on seasonal or part year contracts that gain to the disadvantage of other workers.
Yes, and I've already had calls from some of our clients who, they have somebody that comes in 2 hours a week, as 2 hours a day for 5 days a week, and that person is getting the same amount of holiday as somebody that comes in 5 days a week,
Yeah,
full days.
yeah. No, that's not a good idea. But
Sorry.
but yes, people need clarity on this, and I think it's a question of deal with it and then expect at some point when normal government service resumes, which it inevitably will at some point. Um, I think watch this space because I think it will rebalance itself again. It's got
And should we
to.
go back to talking about the government
Well,
and
while we're talking about government stability, I mean, there's another big one going on, isn't there?
oh
IR35. This is a thorn in the side of any employer who uses contractors, non PAYE, off payroll type employment. Um, and for a few years, the pressure has been building and building on employers to take more of a burden in this to a point where they're pretty much responsible for checking all the compliance and everything's legal, aren't they?
absolutely. And
But it's okay because Liz Truss is going to reverse this, isn't she? It's a key plank of her government.
well, who knows? I mean, was it last, and again, this isn't a political statement, this is just what's been going on in the world of politics in our country. Last week we were seeing messages that the government was going to ease the burden on small businesses, and here we go.
Yeah,
Ta-da! Now
yes,
we're reducing and
yeah.
increasing the
So
burden.
where we are, if you haven't been keeping up, is a few weeks ago in the mini
Excuse
budget,
me.
I think is the right word. One of the key points was the IR37 regulations brought in 2017. Um,
35, IR 35. I think you said 37.
oh, if I did, I apologise.
Sorry.
IR35, the regulations were brought in, I think, in 2017, and
Yeah.
there's another one, but they were to put more of the burden on the employer, and they announced these would be revoked, and it would go back to a low burden where most of the responsibility fell on the worker. Um, Jeremy Hunt's reversed all that already, hasn't he? So IR35 is back where we thought it was, let's say, pre-Liz Truss.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think, to me, it's not a just thing for smaller employers.
no,
They do struggle to identify. It's not straightforward. You can go onto the website, but you need everybody's inside leg measurements and things like that. And it's a heavy responsibility for small businesses.
I think so much compliance is hard for small businesses when you don't have the resource in place to be expert in everything. But right now we are literally back. We've gone from saying we're going to get rid of it to no, we're not in the space of 6 weeks or however long we've had this government.
That long,
Um,
huh?
so we are back, and until Jeremy Hunt stands up, I think it's on the 29th of October. We don't know quite where this is going and what the new direction of the government will be on this. So we have, I think the best way of describing it is a great deal of uncertainty on the future of IR35. But right now, it's as if Liz Truss never entered Downing Street on this specific point. Probably on many others as well. But
Indeed, yes.
and I think that leaves employers in a difficulty of how do we plan.
Yes. Well, you can't plan at the moment. One minute taxes are this, and then that's not happening, and um, the sort of changes, and it's difficult enough because employers are worrying about their own cost of living rises and the
Mm,
energy bills that they're going to be having, and it's really, really, that's what I was saying earlier. It's really unfair on businesses to have all this change coming in, not coming in, coming
yes,
in, not coming in,
yes.
and planning is key.
Yes, yeah. We shall watch this space and see where that goes. We are almost, in fact, I was going to say, shall we squeeze one more subject in? But we have actually been talking for 10 minutes, Kimberly. So
Uh-oh.
we will stick to the two. So there you have it. We have what's going on in holiday law and IR35 squeezed into 10 minutes.
Excellent.
But for now, that is HR in 10 for this week. We will see you again, same time next week. Thanks for
Goodbye.
watching.